All right, we have on the phone the next senator from the state of Texas, Ted Cruz. How you doing, Ted?
Mark, my friend, I'm doing fantastic.
Well, I haven't talked to you since you won that primary. That was some damn vote, wasn't it? You swamped to victory there.
It was truly extraordinary. I mean, it was just a breathtaking result, and I think it was a real testament to conservative grassroots who rose up against a mountain of money on the other side, but demonstrated ultimately that elections are about the people, and it was really a testament to what the grassroots can do when we stand together and are energized.
You know, you gave a great speech. The networks tried to cut you out for the most part, but some of us still caught it, and it was a terrific speech.
Well, thank you.
And I've heard a lot of good speeches, particularly last night, I thought, from Condi Rice. I was surprised. Do you know this Susana Martinez from New Mexico?
I do. I don't know her well, but I've sat down and visited with her, and I think she's plainly a rising star and a strong leader.
And of course, Paul Ryan gave a tremendous speech. How do you think Romney will do tonight?
You know, I am very optimistic. I'm expecting a strong speech. You know, he has run a disciplined campaign from day one. He has taken attacks from all sides and has stayed disciplined, has stayed focused. And I think particularly with his choice of Paul Ryan, that has helped really keep this presidential campaign focused where it needs to be focused, which is on the fiscal and economic issues. I think if we are discussing the grave fiscal and economic challenges in this country, if we're discussing Barack Obama's abysmal economic record, then I think Republicans win in November, and I expect Mitt Romney to keep the focus exactly where it belongs.
You know, I agree with you, and yet I read, not a lot, but a little bit of criticism saying, you know, let's not get in the weeds. I think the Tea Party came to be in part because of the weeds, because of these massive deficits and debt, beginning with the end of the prior administration, leading into this administration. This isn't the weeds, this is our survival.
Right. Well, and it's also leading to a very interesting dynamic, which is what Republicans are doing is appealing to foundational principles, individual liberty, fiscal responsibility, free markets, that unite us, that bring us together. You know, I've done a number of media interviews where some of the mainstream media say, well, gosh, the Tea Party are these crazy extremists. And I asked them, I said, you know, what is extreme about not wanting to bankrupt our country? You know, it's only extreme in this little bubble of the Washington Beltway. And the rest of America, you know, ordinary men and women living within your means is just basic common sense. And that's what's so desperately missing in Washington. And I think the focus on common sense, living within our means, getting the government under control, is uniting Americans. And I think the Democrats' only response is to try to hide from the issues and divide Americans. It's why they're being, using such incendiary rhetoric. They're trying so hard to separate us into little groups and scare everybody because they do not want to talk about the issues. They don't want to talk about Obama's terrible economic record.
Have you been approached yet, or have you spent any time with Mitch McConnell and the Republican leadership talking about things?
Very little. I mean, I had a very brief call with Mitch McConnell where he was very gracious and said he looked forward to working together, and I certainly look forward to working with everyone in the Senate, and hopefully we'll see everyone in the Senate step up to the significant challenges we have going forward.
Mm-hmm. Now, John Cornyn, the senior senator from, well, he's not yet, but he will be, from Texas. I'm assuming that he's going to provide you with some support, correct?
Yes. Now, he has been incredibly welcoming and has offered his enthusiastic support, and I fully expect that John Cornyn and I will work together quite closely and stand together fighting for conservative principles and fighting for the state of Texas.
Now, a federal court in D.C., 3-judge panel, unanimously, and somehow Tatal manages to get on all these panels.
Yep.
For the audience, he's one of the big leftists on the circuit court in D.C. They struck down the Texas voter ID law. I can tell you my group's going to assist Texas now, Landmark Legal Foundation. But that said, I mean, since when did it become so controversial to have photo IDs and other rules in place to make sure that the vote is accurate?
The Democrats, unfortunately, use this as a partisan issue. They use this as an issue they use to try to inflame and scare minority voters. And at the end of the day, voter integrity, electoral integrity, should be an issue that appeals to everyone. As you know, the U.S. Supreme Court, in the Crawford case, considered a constitutional challenge to the state of Indiana's voter ID law. And by a vote of 6-3, the Supreme Court concluded that photo ID laws are entirely constitutional and explained that protecting the integrity of the electoral process strengthens everybody's votes. And in fact, the big lie that is used in attacking photo ID laws is the Democrats say this is about suppressing minority votes. But if you look at the states like Indiana that implemented photo ID laws, you've actually seen minority turnout go up, because the people whose votes are stolen, the people who are targeted by these unscrupulous partisans who exploit voter fraud, are typically minority voters whose votes are stolen. And I don't know if that is the reason or not, but what the data show is that when the voters have a greater degree of confidence in the electoral integrity, and that has happened after photo ID laws have been passed, you see minority turnout go up, not down.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ted Cruz. What is your website again?
It is tedcruz.org, TEDCRUZ.org. And let me say, Mark, during this election, the primary, as you know, it has been an incredible journey. It was an improbable journey. And let me say, you have been a fearless, relentless, incredible warrior. And let me just say thank you. I mean, the difference it made in this election, your friendship and your never-ending support made a huge difference.
Well, Ted, first of all, you didn't have to say that. I appreciate it. And secondly, do you remember? I remember when you pulled me aside. Do you remember that at the Values Summit conference? And
I do.
You said, you know what, I'm going to run for the Senate, and I want your help. And I kind of looked at you cross-eyed, and your guy pulled me aside. I said, you know what, I'll do whatever you want me to do, because, I'm perfectly happy to. But I'm just thrilled. I really am. I'm thrilled that the people got to know who you are. And wait till you get to the U.S. Senate. You're going to make me proud and everybody who supported you proud. And God bless you, my friend.
Well, thank you. And now we've got the really hard work ahead, which is that we've got to win in November 1st. We've got which I am hopeful and intend to work very hard to do. But then we actually got to roll up our sleeves and solve these problems. And I think that's what the American people expect us to do, to stop the spending, to turn around the debt, and to get back to the Constitution. And that's going to take some real work. And I look forward to putting in the hard work to get it done and help turn us around.
Amen. Well, God bless you, and we'll talk to you again. You take care.
Very good. Take care.
All right. Guys are the real deal.